about a case study you gave to students at Vassar that involved discarded tissue and the issue of whether or not those students would care about the uses to which discarded tissue was put. And I wonder if you'd briefly summarize for us your view on consent to the use of de-identified tissue.
The story that you're talking about began as a research protocol where investigators, well, there are actually a couple of projects. In one case, investigators wanted to use remaindered blood left over in a bag after a transfusion's been given. And their view was, we're not going to identify the source. This is trash. We can throw it away afterwards. Who in their right mind would want to know about it? The other protocol involved the use of aborted fetuses, where once again, it was so-called trash, something that would normally be just discarded. Investigators wanted to use this trash, if I can use that word here, and thought that there was no reason to tell the sources of the trash that they were going to be part of a research project. The IRB that was reviewing these was split down the middle, with those who were more oriented to the research enterprise, who thought as long as nobody can be harmed, what difference does it make? We can use it and there's no point in getting consent because subjects can't be hurt. Some of the non-scientists on the IRB thought, no, wait a minute, maybe some subjects would like to know. And in the name of respect for our subjects, who are after all contributing the product under which the study would be done, we owe it to them to ask the question, would they want to be asked? At the same time, I was teaching a course, a bioethics course at Vassar. Most of the students were females still at Vassar. It used to be an all-girls school. And just for fun, I asked them about these examples and whether they would want to be asked if they were the sources of the material. Overwhelmingly, they wanted to be asked. Now, my take-home message was, it makes a huge difference what your reference group is when you're dealing with an informed consent problem, and the question is, how much do subjects want to be told? Those in the researcher framework thought there's no rational reason for wanting to be told. The IRB was divided. My students at Vassar overwhelmingly wanted to be told. The idea that because one cannot be injured, there's no further moral obligation to the subject, I think is a pernicious idea. It was in the early 1960s Department of Health, Education, and Welfare at the time, where you only triggered a review if there was a risk to subjects. My view is there are lots of things that subjects can be interested in, and if we're going to impose upon them to make a contribution to human subjects research, we owe it to them to ask the question. Now, I'm open to the possibility that there might be something that reasonable subjects wouldn't care to be asked about. And some of the new research on methods in evaluating alternative therapies that are just record searches. And if they're innocent record searches, and it would be very hard to ask subjects, I'm open to the possibility that our finding might be that reasonable subjects wouldn't care to be asked. But the key question is, would subjects want to be asked? And if a number of them would want to be asked, then in my view, they have a right to be asked. That applies to tissue samples to remaindered blood to medical records, anything where you have to concede there's no real risk to the subjects, but still subjects, if they're going to be a contributor to the research, have a right to be asked. I would apply that to post-mortem studies where if we haven't gotten the consent from the subject before death, we may have to ask surrogates, surviving family members.